This video is going to be a little different from some of the ones I've been doing. I've been getting into scary stories lately, and I decided to share some with you all since we're getting into the spirit of Halloween. These stories are fictional, but if you have any real scary stories that happened to you that you would like me to read, please feel free to email me your story or message me on Discord. Thank you, and I hope you enjoy. This is a story that happened when I was in high school. I was 15 at the time, and it was my freshman year. It was the start of the school year for me, and the only friends I had made were the many friends I had made in middle school. I was shy at first, but some of my friends introduced me to some of their new friends that came in from the other middle schools. This story is about something that happened with one of those friends. One day, one of my day one best friends, Drew, introduced me to this guy named Gavin. Drew said that him and Gavin shared the same biology class together, and they became friends over the same interest that I had of Pokemon. I figured that we could get along well, so I shook Gavin's hand and greeted him. Gavin was not too tall, maybe like 5'8". I was around 6 feet tall, so it wasn't super intimidating. Gavin had brown eyes and long dark hair. He asked me what my favorite Pokemon was, and I answered that it was Greninja. I always liked the frog Pokemon the most. Gavin laughed and said that's not a real Pokemon, even though I knew it was. I guess he wasn't really educated on the newer ones. Gavin then started hanging out with me and Drew at lunch, since we all had the same lunch period. But eventually, I would look up and I'd catch Gavin staring at me before he quickly looked back down at his food. It was strange, but I dismissed it, thinking that he might be a little awkward talking to people. When I went to my last class of the day, the teacher put the class into groups of two. Lucky me, I was forced to be with a girl. We were both very smart, so we got the assignment done very quickly. I decided to make small talk with this girl because I was bored. Plus, she was pretty. Her name was Samantha. By Friday, it turned from short talk into longer conversations that may have come off as flirty. She even gave me her number, saying that she would love to hang out with me sometime. When I was riding the bus home, I texted Samantha for a while, and we agreed to meet up at her house around 8. I was so happy, and I told my friends in the group chat about this. And of course, they were hyping me up. During this time, I got a text from Gavin, inviting me over to his house tonight to play some Pokemon. I already set up something with this pretty girl from my school, so I said to him, "Sorry man, I have other plans to hang out with my other friends tonight." He texted back saying, "Oh, can I join you then?" I said, "No, sorry, kinda wanted to hang out with the original gang. I instantly felt bad about lying because he replied back with, "Alright, I see how it is, you son of a bitch." I was like, what the hell was that about? Maybe he had some emotional issues. I decided to contact him tomorrow about maybe hanging out Saturday. After dinner, I said to my parents that I was visiting a friend. That was partially true because Samantha was a friend, but she could be more than a friend after tonight. I started heading over and let Samantha know. She was only a few blocks away from me, surprisingly. When I got to the door, I texted her saying I was here. She replied, "Okay, my brother's coming down to let you in." I thought that was cool and I could make friends with her brother as well. I waited for a minute or so before I heard the door unlock. When the door opened, I felt my heart drop to the floor. It was Gavin. He instantly registered the situation, and I didn't know what to say. My heart was beating so fast, I was sweating rivers, and Gavin's smiling face turned into an evil-looking frown. I said to Gavin, "Hey, man, this isn't what it looks like." Gavin said, "Get out of my house," and slammed the door in my face. I didn't know what to do, so I ran back home. This whole situation was still wrapping around my head when I got back home. I went straight to bed and fell asleep, trying to ignore this whole situation. That night, I woke up around 2 a.m. to some sounds from outside. It sounded like walking, but I could tell it wasn't from an animal. I went to my window to check, but I didn't see anything. I didn't bother going outside to check, so I went back to sleep, hoping it was just me hearing things. A few minutes later, I heard something from inside my room. It was hard to tell from the air conditioner, but I was able to hear slight breathing. I knew it wasn't my breath because it was distant. It sounded like it was coming from the closet. When I laid up in bed, I saw Gavin's eyes staring at me through the closet. I gasped, and he said, "If you move, I'll kill you." I didn't know what to do, so I listened to him. He opened the closet door and greeted me with a wide, creepy smile, showing off yellow teeth. I knew I had to get out of there, otherwise he would do something to me. As he approached me, I saw he pulled out a knife from his back pocket. I had to act fast, so I quickly grabbed something from my nightstand and threw it at him. It broke, causing him to scream in pain. I ran out of the room and woke my parents. We instantly called the police, where they arrested Gavin a few minutes later. The police asked me some questions afterwards, and I told them the whole situation. After they left, we never got any information about Gavin again. Samantha blocked my number the next day, but I didn't care. I wanted to stay away from their family, as I was deeply traumatized by what Gavin did that night. I used to work at my local pizzeria as a delivery guy. I was around 20 when this happened. I had a lot of schoolwork to do in college, and this pizzeria was the only way I could make money without taking up too much time from college work and study. I was in charge of doing late night deliveries. Normally I would do evening deliveries, but I thought I could make some extra tip money this way to help pay off the rent. It was around 10:30 at night when we got a call from someone who wanted a medium pepperoni pizza and a medium cheese pizza. It wasn't super out of the ordinary, so I made the order and went to my car. Put in the address. It was only 15 minutes away, but the address was located in a bad part of town. I hoped I would get a decent tip out of this, so I went anyways. Nothing crazy happened on the way there. I just blasted some music from my playlist all the way there. When I got to the address, I pulled up to some random, abandoned looking house. There was no way someone was living here. I called my boss to check the address and confirm that I was at the right place. It was. I was a little nervous to go up to this sketchy house and knock on the door, but I took a deep breath and walked up. There was no doorbell, so I knocked really loudly. Nothing. I knocked again. Still nothing. I waited for a few more seconds, then I knocked again while saying, "Pizza's here." For some reason, the door opened this time, and there wasn't anyone to greet me. I thought it was probably a flimsy door. The interior looked nicer than the outside, that's for sure. Now I have hopes there is actually someone living in this piece of junk. I said, "Is there anyone there?" A woman, who sounded to be in her 30s, replied, "Yes, sweetheart, I'm just down the basement here." I walked around the house and found the door to the basement. I asked if it was okay for me to go down there. She replied yes. This should have been a red flag for me, but I went down the stairs anyway. It was pitch dark in there. I could barely make out the walls in there. I almost dropped a pizza going down the stairs, but when I caught it, I saw a figure standing in the corner. It looked to be over 6 foot, but I couldn't make out any physical features. I asked, "Is that you, ma'am?" No response. No movement from the figure either. Then I turned to hear a noise come from upstairs. It sounded like a pot falling. When I turned back to look downstairs, the figure in the corner started to run at me. I knew I was about to get robbed, so I dropped the pizzas and ran outside. When I got in my car, I saw two tall guys in black hoodies running toward my car. I started the engine and took off back to the pizzeria. My heart was racing. I was mere seconds away from getting robbed, or possibly worse. I told my boss what happened. Thankfully, he let me go home early. I quit my job the next day and started working at the school library. I still wonder to this day what would have happened if the guy upstairs didn't drop that pot. This was during my senior year of high school. I wanted to make a little bit of money before heading off to college, so I was happy when my mom said, "Hey Emily, one of our neighbors wants you to babysit their dog for the week while they're gone." Family would have paid me $300 for the week. I was delighted since it would have been a lot of money for easy work. I lived only a few houses down from mine, and the family there even prepared me the guest bedroom since they wanted me to stay overnight with the dog. According to them, they wanted me to stay overnight with the dog, since the dog gets nervous about being in the dark alone. I was fine with that since I could get some alone time for myself, maybe talking to other guys and stuff or applying to colleges. It was during the Christmas break and there was no school, so I didn't have to worry about that when I went over to the house on Monday. I greeted the dog as it jumped up on me. The dog's name was Beast. He was very calm and obeyed me most of the time. I figured this was going to be an easy week for me, but I was surely wrong. Monday night, I was getting ready for bed. Beast started to growl at something. Dogs normally do this when something isn't right, so I went to check on him. He was growling at the basement door, so I went down there to check. There was nothing except empty boxes, among other things. I then took Beast to the guest bedroom and kenneled him up there where I slept. I thought he might have been seeing things since he was a fairly old dog on some type of medication. When it happened again the next night, around the same time, I was getting a little worried. Every night, for the past few nights, Beast would continue to growl at the basement door. Then I would go check, and there would be nothing but boxes and other stuff. I was considering calling the owners of the house to see if this was a normal thing for him, but I decided to wait. Friday night, I remember the owners saying that they had a lot of drinks in the cooler that I could welcome myself to. Since I was tired, I decided to check the cooler to see if there was anything that I would like. When I opened the cooler, I found there were a bunch of open and empty bottles in there, with the only untouched drink being Mountain Dew. I was confused. Why did the owners leave open bottles there? I took all the empty bottles and threw them away. And as I went back to grab the Mountain Dew, he started barking at the basement door. This was even stranger because he would only growl at the door before. Now Beast was full on barking. I went down there with him and checked. Like before, there was nothing there. This time, however, Beast walked over to the pile of boxes and started barking again. I decided to move aside the boxes and found something that still scares me to this day. There was an envelope on the floor. When I checked its contents, I gasped. There were multiple pictures of me and Beast in the guest bedroom sleeping. I felt pale and I wanted to pass out right then and there. There was someone else in this house somewhere. That's when I noticed a door behind another set of boxes. Quietly opened the door, only to have a hand grab the door from the other side. I screamed and Beast started going crazy. He was jumping up and down on the door and clawing at it. I immediately called my parents, and they told me to hang up and call the cops since they were grocery shopping. Called 911 when I saw the door open. Out came a tall man in ragged clothes. Beast started jumping up on him and was clawing him like crazy. The man screamed and kicked the dog towards me. I grabbed Beast by the collar and took him upstairs, and of course we locked ourselves in the guest bedroom until the police arrived. When they got there, the man was gone. Police asked me the questions, and then it was over. I called the owners, explained the situation, and they agreed to let me keep Beast at my house until they got back. After that, I decided to never babysit or dog sit ever again.